Gilles de Rais, the knight who became the original Bluebeard. He was a hero of France, a knight who fought beside Joan of Arc, a nobleman praised for his courage, wealth, and loyalty to God. But behind the walls of his castle, he became one of history's earliest and most horrifying serial killers. This is the story of Gilles de Rais, the medieval monster known as the original Bluebeard, a man who fell from sainthood to savagery, and whose crimes were so shocking, the church itself tried to erase him from memory. Born in 1405 to one of the wealthiest families in France, Gilles de Rais was destined for greatness. Orphaned at 11, he inherited vast estates, castles, and influence. By his teens, he was already known as a brilliant soldier, brave, charismatic, and ruthless. During the 100 Years' War, Gilles fought alongside Joan of Arc, France's national heroine. He became her protector, riding into battle under her banner, defending her from English forces. When France reclaimed territory and Joan was captured, Gilles was devastated. Some said her death broke something inside him. He withdrew from public life, retreating to his castles, where the light of faith he once carried began to flicker and die. After Joan's execution, Gilles spiraled. He drowned in luxury, spending his fortune on elaborate feasts, theater productions, and occult experiments. He surrounded himself with alchemists, astrologers, and sorcerers, searching for forbidden knowledge. He believed he could summon demons who would restore his wealth and power. But something darker stirred within him. In the shadows of his castle, magical whispers began. Rumors of missing children. At first, peasants thought bandits were to blame. Then, one by one, families realized their sons never came home, and the trail led straight to Gilles' gates. Inside those ancient halls, beneath the flicker of candlelight, Gilles de Rais became a beast. He began luring young boys, mostly poor peasants, under false promises of food, work, or education. Once inside, they were never seen again. Witnesses later testified to horrors beyond imagination. Children were stripped, tortured, and killed in ritualistic displays of cruelty. Gilles would laugh, pray, and cry as he committed these acts, driven by what he described as a madness of pleasure and pain. He sometimes prayed before the bodies, asking forgiveness, only to do it again hours later. His servants, too terrified to resist, helped dispose of the remains, burning bones, burying ashes, or hiding evidence in castle drains. Over time, hundreds vanished. Some estimates say as many as 140 victims. Others believe the number could exceed 300. Gilles wasn't satisfied with physical horror. He wanted immortality, wealth, and the favor of dark powers. He hired Italian alchemists and necromancers, performing bizarre rituals to summon the demon baron, offering sacrifices, sometimes human, in exchange for gold and knowledge. Candles burned in circles drawn with human blood. Latin chants echoed through the stone corridors. But no demon appeared, only guilt and madness. As the years passed, his lands grew silent. Families fled. His wealth vanished. But Gilles continued, convinced that God and Satan were both watching. In 1440, his crimes could no longer hide behind nobility. After an argument with a clergyman and complaints from missing children's families, church authorities launched an investigation. When they entered his castle, they found piles of clothing, bones, and remains buried beneath the chapel. The confessions that followed shook France to its core. Under interrogation, Gilles described his acts in haunting detail, showing no remorse, only fascination. He said, "I did those things not from hatred, but from curiosity. I wanted to know what it felt like to destroy innocence." He admitted to killing children as young as 7 years old, often after praying for their souls. Even hardened inquisitors wept hearing his words. His trial became one of medieval Europe's most infamous spectacles. A knight once blessed by kings now stood accused of witchcraft, murder, and heresy. Gilles alternated between arrogance and despair, confessing one moment, blaming demons the next. He said Joan of Arc's death had driven him to despair, that he tried to fill the emptiness with forbidden pleasures. But the evidence was overwhelming. His confession, the testimony of his servants, and the remains sealed his fate. On October 26, 1440, Gilles de Rais was sentenced to death. Thousands gathered at Nantes to see him die. Before his hanging, He reportedly gave a tearful confession, asking God for mercy and warning parents to protect their children from evil. He was hanged and burned, his ashes scattered to prevent relics from forming. Some accounts claim the crowd wept for a man who was once a hero, now consumed by his own darkness. Centuries later, French folklore gave rise to a tale of a nobleman who murdered his wives, Bluebeard. Many believe it was inspired by Gilles de Rais, the man who hid murder behind wealth, charm, and power. His story became a symbol of corruption, moral decay, and the danger of unchecked power. He was proof that evil doesn't always come from demons. Sometimes, it comes from the human soul itself. Gilles de Rais began as a hero and ended as a monster. He fought for faith and then defied it. He protected a saint, then preyed on the innocent. He believed he could command demons, but in the end, the only demon he ever served was the one inside him. He once fought for heaven, but built his own hell on earth.
Gilles de Rais.
The knight who became a nightmare, the savior who turned slaughterer, the original Bluebeard, a reminder that even the brightest light casts the darkest shadow. If the story chilled you, subscribe to Fatal Truth, where we uncover the forgotten monsters of history, the ones who wore crowns, carried swords, and smiled like saints, but left blood in their wake.